Well, gay people face discrimination when Qatar hosts the World Cup this winter. There are claims that hotels refuse to book openly gay journalists. So with us now is Wajeeh Lion, journalist, and the first openly gay man from Saudi Arabia. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, do you think there's going to be a problem there during the World Cup?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes. There have been 3 hotels now that announced that they will not accept any LGBT visitors in their hotels. Now, FIFA has come out and said they must accept all our guests or they're going to pull back from the World Cup. Now, there are a lot of concerns over measures. There are no measures have been taken to ensure the safety for members of the LGBT community visiting the World Cup or from Qatar itself. The Constitutional Bill 200 of the Qatari Constitution states that members of LGBT community or who acts on homosexuality must be imprisoned for no more than 10 years and be fined. General Abdulaziz Al-Ansari has also warned LGBT fans from bringing any symbols of the LGBT community to the World Cup in Qatar. So there are many red flags coming up as we are coming into the World Cup. Another red flag that we know of is that we know that there are 800,000 tickets have been sold for the World Cup. Meanwhile, we only have 90,000 rooms available for all the guests. So there's a lot of things are out in the air, floating around, and no solutions to them at the moment. Qatar has to accept all of their guests, or there will be consequences from FIFA. I call on the international community that's visiting Qatar for the World Cup to go ahead and bring in their LGBT flags and transgender flags in support of those communities in the Middle East that cannot do it. There is a huge conflict.
Let me go back to these 3 hotels. Are they pressured, inspired, or maybe owned by the regime, by the government? Do you know?
I think they don't even have to be pressured. I think the regime is wanting to go on with the homophobia without any consequences, and essentially is warning that they cannot control their own people and how they react to members of the LGBT community visiting Qatar, which is scary and dangerous. How are you allowing all these people, 800,000 fans, to come visit Qatar? Meanwhile, you cannot control your population and how they're going to react to members of the LGBT community. I think it's just cultural insensitivity and acceptance for the LGBT community. It has nothing to do with just the government. It's just generally the Middle East and Gulf countries is just very homophobic and anti-LGBT community. I do ask for everyone to take their cautious when they go visit Qatar, but know that if you're coming from a Western country or a European country, you are privileged and able to do way more things than anyone else from the Middle East that could visit Qatar for the World Cup.
But you'd think that, when the whole world is watching, Qatar would accommodate more than usual.
Could you repeat that again for me?
Yeah, I was saying in an event like this, the whole world is watching, and Qatar obviously do not want to, get any attention to these kind of things.
Yes, I agree with you. And Qatar does have a big media power, and they do have Al Jazeera on their side. So, yeah, they're not looking forward for bad press, but in the same time, I think that they have been handling bad press like they have been dealing with Taliban for a very long time and Al-Qaeda, and they've been dealing with that very smoothly. I don't see why they would have a hard time dealing with the LGBT community. Now, it could be very bad press not accepting members of the LGBT community in the World Cup, and that could affect them very badly economically. And I think the biggest struggle for them is for them to finish all the hotels, for them to finish all the stadiums, and have measures to ensure the safety of all the people visiting Qatar.
Right.
And sadly, I don't see any of that on the ground happening.
Wajeeh Lion, I thank you very much for this.
Thank you for having me.